Good afternoon, Facebook, or good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. This is Ask Angelika, episode 15. And the first thing I'd like to say, of course, is good afternoon, Angelika. Wie geht's?
Guten Morgen, guten Tag, guten Abend. I have to say the same in German, don't I?
Oh, yes.
Mir geht es gut. Und dir?
Ich bin gut auch. Or something. Well, let's make a start. If you're watching, we can see your comments and bring them on board. If you're on the Ask Angelika page, if you click the link, which I'm just about to post. Yeah, we've started. So I'm just going to go to the post and edit it. And very nice. Okay, so that's saved, and I'm going to close the page, and we're back. So what I want to say now is welcome to the show. And normally what happens on the show, which will run for about a quarter of an hour, is that we start off with a topic. So it's over to Angelika to explain the first topic of the day.
Okay, let's talk about politics. Well, actually, no. So if anybody starts panicking now, we're not talking about politics. But if you are interested in politics, then this is, of course, a good topic to read up on some German websites and learn some political vocab. And that's what I really want to talk about. And the first one, of course, for nearly a year now in England and everywhere in Europe and wherever else, we've been talking about Brexit, which of course is a new word because it came with a combination of the British exit. And so after the referendum last year, this lovely new word Brexit was invented. And that leads me to the question, is that der, die, or das? Because the word exists in German as well. And of course, all nouns in German have a gender. But which one is it? Any idea? Any guesses?
No. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to say it's das Brexit because it has no gender.
Well, Brexit, of course, hasn't got a gender, but all nouns in German have got a gender. Yeah, if you remember, it's not the item that has got the gender. So as an example, if I have my cup here, where's the camera? Yeah, which is die Tasse, that doesn't mean that a German cup is feminine. All it means is that the word for the cup is feminine. So the word for Brexit will also have a gender. And it is der. And the reason for that is because Brexit, as I said, it comes from British exit, and the German word for exit can be Ausgang, but in this case, actually, it's Austritt, because we're exiting a organization. Ausgang is exit as well, so it could be either really. But both of those words, Ausgang and Austritt, are masculine. And if we have a new word and it replaces sort of a word that already exists, it takes on that gender. Hence, it's der Brexit. Probably
Indeed.
Spoils it for everybody who thought there was some civil servant in Germany sitting in his little office and doing nothing but checking what gender words, new words could be.
So there isn't, and there isn't a journalist somewhere reading everything. No. Okay.
No. What happens is it usually follows certain rules. When there aren't any rules, I can't think of a word at the moment where it would apply to, but there are of course occasions when a new word doesn't follow any of the rules, like it ends in or er or e or anything like this, and there isn't a German word either. Then it's a bit hit and miss. Then it's not one journalist, it's more like hundreds of journalists and everybody else guessing what could this word be. It actually sounds like a der word or a die or a das, and eventually it will become that particular word. But Brexit, because it is der Austritt, and that's der, so therefore it's der Brexit.
All right. So that's the question 1 and answer 1. It is der Brexit. And now we're going to go on to, we're staying with the elections theme, and question 2. Wahlen in Großbritannien.
Yes. So that's the big topic, of course, which is in English.
Well, I'm going to work it out. Großbritannien is Great Britain.
Yeah.
And because we're on a theme, I'm going to guess, this is a wild guess. No, it's not. I'm going to say it's elections in Great Britain.
It is, of course, because we now have found out 3 days ago that not only are we having local elections next month, we're now having a general election in June as well. And of course, we're not, because of Brexit and that, England isn't the only country who is writing about it. So if you are interested in the elections in England, or in Great Britain, shall I say, sorry. So if you're interested in the Wahlen in Großbritannien, if you type that into Google, or you already know certain websites you are interested in, German newspapers or magazines, you're bound to find some hopefully interesting topics or articles for you to read.
Indeed, because I mean, when you know what the topic is, it's easier to understand because you're actually expecting what's going to be written about, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. I mean, if you're typing in Wahlen in Großbritannien and the first post comes up and you click on it, it's highly unlikely they're talking about I can't even think of a non-election topic now.
It's okay. Right now, so we've been talking about elections in Great Britain, and that brings us on to the next question, question 3, which is Unterhaus.
Yes. Now, I typed in Wahlen in Großbritannien yesterday, and some articles came up, and I found this lovely word, which literally translated just means underhouse. What are they talking about?
Well, I'm going to say that they are talking. Well, I don't know. This is one that foxed me. Why does Unterhaus, which is the question, mean House of Commons?
Oh, I have got no idea. I do not know where that came from. That I would have to do some research to find out why. But it is, das Unterhaus is the House of Commons.
But I mean, if you break the word down, it's
not a literal translation. Yeah. It's
not a literal translation. No. It's right. Well, we'll see with the next one, the next question 4, which is, what is Oberhaus?
Yeah, exactly. People may be able to guess that one now, as they now know that Unterhaus is the House of Common, which is the, if you think of a upstairs downstairs, you know, the lords and the ladies, they lived upstairs, and the maids and that were downstairs. The common people were downstairs. So maybe that's where the Unterhaus comes from, because that's the common people. So Oberhaus, therefore.
Well, Peter has translated it literally as being Oberhaus, and welcome, Peter. It's good to see you.
That would be the literal translation, absolutely.
Upper tier. But in this particular one, because we've had, well, we'll go back in a minute, but Oberhaus refers to the UK, Great Britain, and it refers to the House of Lords.
Yeah.
Now, what the literal translation, as Peter was correct, is upper tier, because we started with Unterhaus, which is the House of Commons, and then we came to Oberhaus, which is the House of Lords. Now, when the two were created, the lower and upper house, John's joined us. Welcome, John. Lower and upper house of Commons. Sorry, John, you're still there. It would have meant that the House of Lords was over The House of Commons, possibly. I don't know.
Is John's lower house and upper house, is that a translation, or is that what it is also called in English, or maybe what it used to be called?
It is what it's called in English, and I think.
Well, that explains the German translation then, because that would be the Unterhaus and Oberhaus is the translation of the lower house and upper house. But usually in articles we always find House of Commons and House of Lords. So yeah, if you're used to that, if you're used to the term House of Commons and House of Lords, and you're then thinking like, oh, let's read about something in a German article, and all of a sudden it mentions Unterhaus and Oberhaus, you could be stumped, because you may not know what the article is about, although you may be able to guess it.
Indeed, and just want to take a break for a moment and say welcome to the show, everybody. And if you want to join us, the link is on Ask Angelika, and you can come in and ask questions. And we'll go on then now to question 5, which is a bit more complicated. So steel yourself for this one, because I'm going to attempt to read it, and then it's going to be read correctly by Angelika, and then we're going to try and translate it. Question 5. Wenn Sie Großbritannien im Binnenmarkt halten wollen, ist dies Ihre Chance.
Okay, so that was actually a tweet I found 3 days ago. Wenn Sie in Großbritannien im Binnenmarkt halten wollen, ist dies Ihre Chance. And I like the tweet for several reasons, but for the German bit in here, I liked it because it had the word Binnenmarkt in there.
Well, indeed, because I haven't a clue. I mean, I know that when is good. Großbritannien is Great Britain. Halten wollen, want to stop, or want to stay. And this is your chance. Ist dies Ihre Chance, but Binnenmarkt, no. So could you help us all out? And
yeah, so this is your chance. That's the easy bit. Ist dies Ihre Chance? Yeah. Wenn in this case actually means if rather than when. And Binnenmarkt is the single market. So again, that would be a word you may need to look up. And the sentence, actually, the whole tweet was a tweet by the Lib Dems, and the English tweet actually said, if you want to keep Britain in the single market, this is your chance. And one of the German newspapers saw it and picked it up and wrote about it in an article and translated it correctly as, wenn Sie Großbritannien im Binnenmarkt halten wollen, ist dies Ihre Chance.
So Binnenmarkt is single market. So marked is market.
Yeah, binnen actually means more like inside. So it's within the big European market.
Okay, right. So we're learning here, and we are not going to be in the single market. Well, we might be. Peter's watching, so I'm not saying too much. This is not a political program. We're actually learning German. So
I'd rather not have any political questions either, because I wouldn't be able to answer them.
Right, okay, on with learning German then. And question 6, which I'm going to attempt to pronounce, and then you can pronounce correctly. Präsidentschaftswahl in Frankreich. In Frankreich. My apologies for that.
Präsidentschaftswahl in Frankreich. Yeah, if you are reading any German articles at the moment, of course, they are not just about elections in England. They may be about what?
French elections. Frankreich being French.
Yeah, the French presidential election. So again, I just picked up this as a keyword. If by any chance you are interested in politics, but actually you're not worried about the English elections, you want to know what's happening in France, those may be good keywords to type into Google to find out about the French presidential election, but in German.
Indeed, because the first round of voting is this Sunday, so it's time to go to Google and search. And staying with our theme today, question 7, which I will read. Bundestagswahl.
Bundestagswahl, yeah. Yeah, the S in there actually, for anybody who is interested in compound nouns, as you all know, Germans love to put words together, but they still have to sound like one word. So Bundestag is one word, Wahl is one word. If we didn't have the S, it would be pronounced as two words. Then it would be Bundestag, and you automatically take a breather, Wahl. By adding the S, you can actually say it as one word, Bundestagswahl. But what is it?
Well, I'm going to try and break it down. We've actually visited the Bundestag, so I know what that is. That's the German Parliament. And Wahl, we've already seen in the previous question when we had the French election. So Wahl, we know, means election. So I'm going to say German election.
Yeah, because we're not the only ones with elections. It seems to be the big election year, isn't it? Because Holland already had theirs, England is coming up, France is coming up, and then in Germany they have their election as well this year. So anybody who is interested in any type of elections and also in learning German, there is lots of stuff to read.
All right. Okay. Now a tricky one. And this time we're going from English.
Yes, you want me to read it? Yes, exactly.
Please, you go.
Yes, a question for anybody listening or watching. What's the German word for, or words for, fake news?
Well, can I read the answer out?
I don't know. Go on then.
I'll try. The German for fake news is fake news. Now that happens sometimes, doesn't it? Where the word is adopted internationally.
Yes, I mean there is actually, fake news, wrong news. Yeah, sometimes the news are wrong just because somebody gets it wrong, and that would be falsche Nachrichten. But of course, fake news, the difference with fake news is they've been made deliberately to be wrong. So to translate that as falsche Nachrichten would give a slightly different translation. So therefore, the Germans have just kept the word fake news, just to make sure that people know this bit of news is deliberately wrong and not just by accident wrong.
Okay. And question 9, last question of the day, before I come on to John's helpful post in a moment. Question 9, is dieser Artikel, or do you want to read it?
Ist dieser Artikel echt oder frei erfunden? That's more like a question for you as the reader. If you do find a German article and you're reading it, you may just want to think, ist dieser Artikel echt oder frei erfunden? It's a question on the follow-up to our fake news word. So what does this mean in English?
Right, I'm gonna take it apart and pretend I don't know the answer. Is dieser Article is German for article? So is this article either frei? No, I'm losing it. Erfunden. Was bedeutet erfunden?
Invented, made up.
Ah, so the answer is this article echt, which is real?
Yeah.
Is the article real or pure fiction?
Exactly.
So let's just go through that again. Would you read it out again, please?
So, ist dieser Artikel echt oder frei erfunden?
And I'm going to say, is this article real or pure fiction? Now, just to go back a moment, because John, this is probably not going to show on the screen properly, so I'm going to put it on the screen. And this will ask the question earlier. What were Unterhaus and Oberhaus? And Peter gives a translation, literal translation, which is what I would have said as well. Now John has come back with help from Wikipedia and said the House of Commons of the United Kingdom is the lower house of the country's parliament. Like the upper house, the House of Lords, it meets in the Palace of Westminster. So there we have it. That's why it's Unterhaus. Well, you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's that explains the translation nicely. That's why it's Unterhaus und Oberhaus, because that's the literal translation for the lower house and the upper house.
Right.
So there we are. Even I've learned something new now. Brilliant.
Indeed, it's brilliant teamwork. And Peter's saying that Gaelic is like that too. And John's comment is, I think this last comment was made when we're talking about true or false.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the literal translation of ersatz?
Ersatz is a replacement. Not quite sure what he means in relation to this. I mean, ersatz would mean certainly in German, and I know ersatz is used in English as well, isn't it? But I'm not too sure about that. In German, it means a replacement. I think it's the one that comes to mind is Ersatzkaffee. If you haven't actually got any real coffee, you use a replacement one, something that's not quite the right stuff. There we are, Ersatzkaffee. Yes, that's the only one
the same time as you. Great minds think alike.
It's the only one I could think of because it tastes like coffee, but it isn't coffee. Probably not quite the same as fake news. Yes, in a way it is, because it's, but it's no. I think fake news are slightly different, aren't they? Because Ersatzkaffee, in this case, for example, is because you haven't got another choice. You don't have the real coffee, so you have to make do with the fake coffee. Whereas fake news, we do have the real news, except somebody decides to circulate some fake ones.
We've seen it more in the past 12 months than we ever have. And I fear it's going to continue. But this was, well, I think, do you want to mention the Ask Angelika group?
Well, we can mention it again, because we've still got plenty of spaces for more people to come and join us. It's the Facebook group, Ask Angelika, where you can ask Angelika. But actually, no, you can't just ask me. You ask a question and anybody can answer it, which is nice, because I'm not always on Facebook. It may seem like it, but I'm not. And sometimes even I don't know the answer. Or if it's a question in relation, for example, to living in Germany or being a student in Germany, there may actually be other people who can give a better answer than I do. So it's a nice way of give and take from everybody. And everybody is welcome. If you've got some interest in learning German, do join us.
And there are now over 100 members.
Yes, we have.
Yes, it's wonderful. Right, okay. And just to come back to John, he said Google lists ersatz as not real or genuine. And I think
which is correct, but it is used instead of the real or genuine thing. So again, if you have the coffee, whereas and that's why fake news doesn't get translated into a German word, is because it is deliberate as fake news.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it's not.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's not done as in, well, I would like to give you the real good news, but I can't, so I'm giving you some fake news. That's not quite the way it is. The reason is I want you to believe what I'm saying, so I'm giving you fake news.
Okay. And just to end on a news note, Peter has just informed us of that.
I think he has a new book. Ich habe ein neues Buch. If he has received it already, that's even better then. But yes.
Do you want to talk? We'll talk about the book for a moment. Just explain what Peter's talking about.
Yes, exactly. Those who listened 2 weeks ago, when we spoke about this book, Learn German with Modern Literature, which is a book written in German and in English, not by me, I can't take the credit for that one, but I wrote the blog post about it, and the author said he was going to give 5 copies away. And on Monday we did the draw, and Peter is one of those. Now, as far as I know, these books come from America because they're being printed by CreateSpace. So people may have to wait for a little while before they get them. But yes, it's really good and 3 people from the Ask Angelika group actually won one of those copies. So could be another reason to join the group.
Yep, indeed. I mean, the draw was totally random, done by a computer, and these people were volunteered not to leave the plane, but to receive a book.
And that's not fake news either. That's real news.
Well, as Angelika just explained, Peter, it's swinging its way to you. See how I tied the two? No, I'm going to give up now. Angelika, if you'd like to say thank you to everybody, and then we'll take our leave for this week.
Yes, well, thank you for watching and listening, and I hope it has enticed you to maybe possibly start reading up on something on politics. If it hasn't, don't worry about it. We'll find a different topic in 2 weeks' time. And that's it then. So it's tschüss von mir.
Und tschüss von mir. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Yep, we've started. So I'm just going to go to the post and edit it. And very nice. Okay, so that's saved, and I'm going to close the page, and we're back. So what I want to say now is welcome to the show, and normally what happens on the show, which will run for about a quarter of an hour, is that we start off with a topic. So it's over to Angelika to explain the first topic of the day.
Okay, let's talk about politics. Well, actually, no. So if anybody starts panicking now, we're not talking about politics. But if you are interested in politics, then this is, of course, a good topic to read up on some German websites and learn some political vocab. And that's what I really want to talk about. And the first one, of course, for nearly a year now in England and everywhere in Europe and wherever else, we've been talking about Brexit, which of course is a new word because it came with a combination of the British exit, and so after the referendum last year, this lovely new word Brexit was invented. And that leads me to the question, is that der, die or das? Because the word exists in German as well. And of course, all nouns in German have a gender, but which one is it? Any idea? Any guesses?
No. I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm gonna say it's das Brexit because it has no gender.
Well, Brexit, of course, hasn't got a gender, but all nouns in German have got a gender. Yeah, if you remember, it's not the item that has got the gender. So as an example, if I have my cap here.
Good afternoon, Facebook, or good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. This is Ask Angelika, episode 15. And the first thing I'd like to say, of course, is good afternoon, Angelika. Wie geht's?
Guten Morgen, guten Tag, guten Abend. I have to say the same in German, don't I?
Oh, yes.
Mir geht es gut. Und dir?
Ich bin gut auch. Or something. Well, let's make a start. If you're watching, we can see your comments and bring them on board. If you're on the Ask Angelika page, if you click the link, which I'm just about to post.
Where's the camera? Yeah, which is die Tasse. That doesn't mean that a German cap is feminine. All it means is that the word for the cap is feminine. So the word for Brexit will also have a gender, and it is der. And the reason for that is because Brexit, as I said, it comes from British exit, and the German word for exit can be Ausgang, but in this case, actually, it's Austritt, because we're exiting a organization. Ausgang is exit as well, so it could be either really. But both of those words, Ausgang and Austritt,